Stop, don't scroll. This isn't here by accident. Today, someone unexpectedly spoke your name. You may never know who they were, or why they couldn't stop thinking about you. But at that exact moment, another heart, the one spiritually connected to yours, whispered something that was never meant to stay hidden forever. If you've been asking the universe for a sign, if you've felt like someone is missing you without saying a word, then stay with me. Because what you're about to hear may completely change the way you see your connection, starting today. Sometimes life becomes strangely quiet. Right before something important begins to move. You may think today is just another ordinary day. Another day of waiting. Another day of wondering why nothing seems to change. But beneath the surface, something has already shifted. Someone, somewhere, spoke your name today. They may have smiled. They may have remembered something beautiful about you. Or maybe they simply couldn't explain why your name suddenly appeared in their mind. They don't even realize. That moment carried a message much bigger than they could ever understand. Because while your name was being spoken, another heart, the one spiritually connected to yours, felt something. A feeling they couldn't explain. A pull they couldn't ignore. A quiet whisper inside them saying, "It's time." For a long time, you've believed nothing was happening. You've looked around and seen silence. You've questioned whether your prayers were being heard. Whether the connection you keep feeling was only your imagination. But what if the silence was never emptiness? What if it was preparation? Think about a seed. When it's placed beneath the soil, nothing appears to happen. Days pass. Sometimes weeks. From the outside, it looks lifeless. But underneath, roots are growing stronger every single day. Your journey has been exactly like that. Invisible doesn't mean inactive. Hidden doesn't mean forgotten. Every delay has been building something your eyes simply couldn't see. And today, for reasons you may not fully understand yet, that hidden season is beginning to reveal itself. Have you noticed how certain people suddenly appear in your thoughts? How old memories return without warning? How songs, places, or even random conversations feel strangely connected to your life? Most people dismiss those moments. But sometimes, they are gentle reminders that unseen connections are quietly unfolding. Your soulmate has also been changing. Not because someone forced them. Not because life became easy. But because every challenge they've faced has slowly shaped them into the person they're meant to become. Just like you. Neither of you could have met earlier. Not because love wasn't possible, but because growth wasn't finished. The timing wasn't punishment. It was protection. Imagine meeting the right person before either of you had learned how to protect each other's peace. Sometimes, love arrives late, only because wisdom arrives first. And maybe that's exactly what's been happening all along. You weren't forgotten. You weren't overlooked. You were simply being prepared for a chapter strong enough to last longer than a single season. But here's what many people never realize. The universe doesn't always announce change with loud signs. Sometimes, It begins with one quiet moment. One unexpected conversation. One person's memory. One name. Spoken at exactly the right time. And today, your name carried more weight than you realize. Because every meaningful connection starts moving long before it becomes visible. The question isn't whether something has started. The real question is, will you recognize it when it finally reaches your life? The truth is, most people expect life to change with a loud announcement. A miracle. A dramatic encounter. A message that leaves no room for doubt. But that's rarely how meaningful connections begin. They begin quietly. Almost invisibly. Long before the eyes can recognize what the heart already feels. And that's why today feels different. Not because everything has already changed, but because something has finally started moving beneath the surface. Your soulmate. Whether you've met them before, crossed paths without realizing it, or haven't seen them yet, has been carrying thoughts they never expected to carry. At first, they ignored them. They convinced themselves they were just random feelings. Just another passing emotion. But the feeling didn't disappear. Instead, it became stronger. Every day. A little louder than before. Have you ever noticed how one person can suddenly appear in your mind for no obvious reason? No recent conversation. No recent photo. No reminder. Yet somehow, they remain impossible to forget. That is exactly what has been happening. Not only to you, but to them. Without realizing it, they've been searching for something that only your presence can complete. Not because you are perfect, but because your souls recognize something that words cannot explain. Sometimes, the deepest connections don't begin with conversation. They begin with recognition. A feeling of familiarity. Before a single sentence is spoken. As if your hearts remember what your minds have forgotten. Maybe that's why you've been feeling unusually emotional lately. Maybe that's why certain dreams have felt more vivid. Or why moments of silence have carried emotions that seem to come from nowhere. Those moments are easy to dismiss. But sometimes, they are invitations to pay attention. Because life often whispers before it speaks. And those who only listen for noise miss the quiet moments that change everything. Your soulmate has also been questioning things. Wondering why old priorities no longer feel important. Wondering why their heart keeps pulling them toward something they can't yet explain. Growth often feels confusing while it's happening. Only later does it finally make sense. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean just before sunrise. For a long time, everything appears dark. You could easily believe the sun isn't coming. But the horizon already knows what your eyes cannot yet see. That's where you are now. Standing between darkness and dawn. Between waiting and arrival. The most beautiful chapters of life rarely begin with certainty. They begin with faith. With one quiet step. One unexpected moment. One small sign that almost everyone else overlooks. And today, Your name becoming part of someone else's thoughts may have been one of those moments. Not because that person holds all the answers, but because life has a mysterious way of reminding us that invisible threads are always connecting hearts long before they meet. So don't mistake silence for absence. Don't mistake delay for rejection. And don't believe that nothing is happening simply because you cannot see it yet. Some of the greatest changes begin in places where human eyes cannot reach. And if you've stayed until this moment, perhaps there is a reason. Perhaps your heart already recognizes what your mind is still trying to understand. Because the message is only beginning. What comes next may explain why everything you've experienced had to happen exactly the way it did. Every chapter of your life, even the painful ones, has been preparing you for a moment like this. There were nights when you wondered if anyone truly understood your heart. Days when you smiled for everyone else while quietly carrying questions no one could see. You told yourself, maybe this feeling will disappear. But it never did. Because some feelings aren't meant to disappear. They are meant to guide you. Your soulmate has been walking a different road. Yet somehow, that road has been leading toward the same destination. Neither of you could see it. Neither of you knew how many unseen moments were quietly bringing your stories closer together. Life has a strange way of connecting people long before they finally meet. Sometimes through lessons. Sometimes through unexpected endings. Sometimes through waiting. And sometimes through silence. Silence isn't always empty. Often, it is where the deepest transformation begins. Think about every disappointment that once felt unbearable. At the time, you believed something precious had been taken away. But looking back, how many of those closed doors actually protected you? How many delays saved you from rushing into something that wasn't truly meant for your heart? What felt like rejection was often redirection. What felt like loss was making space for something greater. That is why today feels different. Not because all the answers have arrived, but because your heart is finally ready to recognize them. There is a quiet confidence beginning to grow inside you. A feeling that says, maybe I haven't been forgotten after all. Hold on to that feeling. Because hope is often the first sign that your inner world is already changing. Your soulmate has been changing too. Without realizing it, they've been letting go of fears, old expectations, and versions of themselves that could never have built a lasting connection. Real love doesn't appear to rescue two broken people. It grows when two people have learned to bring peace instead of fear. That kind of connection cannot be rushed. It has to be built through patience, trust, and quiet growth. Maybe that's why your path has seemed slower than everyone else's. Not because you were left behind, but because your story is being written one meaningful page at a time. And every page has been necessary. Even the ones that made no sense while you were living them. If today someone truly spoke your name, perhaps it wasn't just another conversation. Perhaps it was a gentle reminder that your presence has already begun touching lives in ways you cannot yet measure. Never underestimate the quiet impact of a kind heart. People remember how you made them feel long after they've forgotten the words you said. Maybe that's why your name returned today. Not by accident, but because your energy, your kindness, and your unseen strength left a mark greater than you realized. If this message has found you, don't rush away from it. Take one quiet moment today to appreciate how far you've already come. You survived days you once believed would break you forever. Yet here you are. Still hoping. Still growing. Still becoming. Perhaps that has been the miracle all along. Because before life changes around you, it almost always changes within you. And maybe, just maybe, that change has already begun. There comes a moment in every meaningful journey when life stops asking you to chase and quietly invites you to trust. That moment may be closer than you think. Your soulmate has been carrying questions that sound surprisingly similar to yours. Why does this feeling refuse to leave? Why does my heart keep returning to someone I can't fully explain? At first, they tried to ignore those feelings. They stayed busy, focused on responsibilities, filled every quiet moment with distractions. But some connections cannot be silenced. No matter how much noise surrounds them, the heart always finds its way back to what truly matters. Perhaps you've experienced that too. You finally tell yourself, "I'm done waiting." Then, without warning, something reminds you again. A familiar song. A meaningful dream. A stranger speaking words that somehow feel personal. Or a quiet feeling that life is preparing something just beyond your sight. These moments aren't here to make you impatient. They're here to remind you that your story is still unfolding. Many people walk away just before the chapter they've been praying for finally begins. Don't let that become your story. Because the strongest chapters often begin after the longest silence. Think about the sunrise. No one watches the sky and sees the exact second night becomes morning. The change is gradual, quiet, almost invisible. Then suddenly, the entire horizon is filled with light. Transformation works the same way. It doesn't always arrive with dramatic signs. Sometimes it grows quietly until one ordinary day, you realize everything has changed. Your soulmate is learning lessons that only life could teach. Not through perfect moments, but through mistakes, through disappointment, through healing. Just as you have. That is why, when your paths finally come together, the connection will feel different. Not rushed. Not forced. Not built on fear. But built on understanding. On peace. On two people who finally know what truly matters. Maybe that's why your heart has survived everything it has survived. Not to become harder, but to become wiser. Not to stop believing, but to believe with greater clarity. If you've made it this far, remember one important truth. You are no longer the same person you were a year ago. Your struggles changed you. Your waiting strengthened you. Your unanswered questions taught you patience. And those quiet seasons that once felt empty were quietly building the version of you that is ready for what comes next. So don't measure your life only by what you can see today. Some of the greatest blessings begin their journey long before they appear. And maybe this message reached you because you're standing closer to that new chapter than you've ever been before. Take a quiet breath. Release the weight of everything you were never meant to carry alone. Your story isn't ending here. In many ways, it's only now reaching its most meaningful chapter. And now, before this message comes to an end, there is one final truth your heart may have been waiting to hear. Not every meaningful connection arrives the moment you ask for it. Some connections arrive only after they have become strong enough to last. Temporary emotions can create excitement. But lasting love is built on something much deeper. It grows through patience, through understanding, through becoming the kind of person who no longer needs love to feel complete, but chooses love to make life even more meaningful. Perhaps that has been your greatest lesson. You weren't simply learning how to wait. You were learning how to grow while waiting. And there is a powerful difference. Waiting without purpose feels like punishment. Growing while waiting becomes preparation. That preparation has quietly shaped your heart into someone who sees life differently now. You no longer chase every distraction. You no longer hold on to everything that tries to leave. You've learned that peace is more valuable than temporary attention. And maybe that inner peace is exactly what has been drawing your soulmate closer than ever before. Sometimes people don't recognize each other because of appearance. They recognize each other because of energy, because of kindness, because of a feeling that quietly says, "I've been searching for this peace for a very long time." That is the kind of connection worth protecting. Not one built on fear of losing someone, but one built on gratitude for finally finding someone who understands your silence as much as your words. If someone truly spoke your name today, don't focus on who it was. Focus instead on what it reminds you of. Your life matters. Your presence matters. The kindness you've shown, even when no one thanked you, has created ripples you may never see. The strength you discovered during your hardest seasons has become part of who you are. One day, someone will be grateful that you never gave up on becoming that person. So today, don't ask, "When will everything change?" Instead ask, "Who am I becoming through everything I'm experiencing?" Because when your heart continues to grow, life has a remarkable way of bringing the right people, at the right time, for the right reasons. As this message comes to a close, carry one simple thought with you. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not walking this journey alone. Every lesson, every unexpected delay, every closed door, has quietly been guiding you toward a chapter that could only begin when you were truly ready. So keep moving forward. Protect your peace. Choose kindness, even when it's difficult. Trust the growth that no one else can see. And remember, the most meaningful chapters of life rarely announce themselves before they arrive. Sometimes they begin with one quiet moment, one unexpected feeling, and one decision to keep believing, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. Before you leave, take one quiet moment and ask yourself, what part of this message felt like it was meant just for you? If one sentence truly stayed with you, share it in the comments. Your words may become the encouragement someone else needed today. And if messages like this bring peace to your heart, you're always welcome to join us again. Until next time, protect your peace, keep your heart open, and remember, some of life's greatest blessings arrive quietly, exactly when you're ready to receive them.